Bruce Ray Riggs. And I'm going to point out a couple of things how this country's been deceived. And it's pretty hard to find this anywhere online. Even our attorneys aren't schooled this in their education system. It wasn't even really known until 1967. And they never changed the way the system was taught once they found out. Basically, in 1866, at the end of the Civil War, as we go along, this may be paused with a document next to me to prove what I'm saying as I go along, because this is a factual video. This has nothing to do with opinion. In 1866, the United States government, asked for a different form of government because of the Confederate rebellious states. They was afraid they was going to succeed again in the future. 1868, Black's Law Dictionary even makes clear the 14th Amendment created, or at least recognized for the first time, a citizen of the United States as distinct to that of the state. 1870, the District of Columbia declared itself a corporation of the District of Columbia, doing business as the United States and successors of all corporations in the United States. And the 14th Amendment, creating us as corporations underneath this, gave them full jurisdiction over us as corporations, not as human beings. In other words, the District of Columbia declared itself doing business as the United States. Before that, you were a citizen of the state, according to the Constitution, Article 4, Section 2, Clause 1. This amendment that was never legally ratified, Congressional Record, June 13th, 1967, 99 years later, proved it to be never ratified for many reasons. It was done at gunpoint. It was never presented to President Andrew Johnson to sign or veto in the law. Only had one vote win. I mean, just numerous reasons. All these documents on this website, you can get basically view as we go. It's supposed to be, it was viewed and deemed a political choice. If the American people ever rebelled against this amendment, the Constitution must strike it with nullity. Even if they went on to say this amendment was properly ratified, the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution would still strike it with nullity, because it supersedes the Constitution by creating a different citizenship and a different form of government than what our Founding Fathers intent. As you can see, every form of government that's in our country right now that's above and beyond the basic, the 16 functions of the federal government, is from the jurisdiction of this amendment. In 1913, when 51% of the people was supposed to be considered to be a part of this private citizenship, this private corporate amendment, remember, a corporation is a person within the 14th Amendment, then that moved 100% of us into this, and therefore there's where the Federal Reserve Act came into play, to start printing private currency for a public trust. And by the way, the 14th Amendment makes a citizen of the United States responsible for the national debt 77 years before the national debt even began. It created the citizenship 3 years before this corporation was even set up to govern the citizenship and the jurisdictions thereof. Powers not delegated to Congress or states retained by the people. Ask yourself, where was our government ever given jurisdiction over our privately owned firearms? You can't see where in the Constitution they were. But the Municipal Corporation of the District of Columbia, the head of all corporations in the United States, you being a corporation, can put a corporation over you, the Municipal Corporation of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Municipal Corporation of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, Municipal Corporation of whatever, the Federal Reserve Bank. They can make statutes, which are municipal corporate ordinances or policies, and that's how they're enforced, the statutes. And because you're under that jurisdiction, you have to go by them. Can a larger corporation tell a smaller corporation that's under it what to do? Sure they can. Can the main office make a policy, for instance, telling their employees they must have their shirt tucked in while they're working? Sure they can. Statute is basically a policy, a municipal corporate ordinance. They're taking jurisdiction through the citizenship of an amendment that was never ratified. If you don't like your gun control, well, guess what? It all comes from the jurisdiction of an amendment that was never ratified. Congressional Record, June 13th, 1967, page 15641 to 15646, memorialized on the Senate floor. All these documents are on this website. Like I said, we're proving everything as we go. I mean, there's so many ways we've been deceived through the years. For instance, in 1931, our government declared a state of emergency and declared bankruptcy through the Emergency War Powers Act. We've been in a state of emergency since 1931. The Constitution has basically been suspended since then. And, I mean, they just don't tell us. We live under the color of law, thinking we've had all these rights, but slowly they're fading away and we don't understand how. Well, guess what? They haven't really existed since 1931. It's time to take them back, don't you think? The Constitutional Republic of the United States of America technically hasn't even existed since 1871. It's been like an empty house, like that no one lives in. We've all been a different citizenship. In fact, the states even had to ask for permission for representation in this form of government because they were set up by the Founding Fathers to be represented in the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. And when the 14th Amendment was created, they didn't have jurisdiction to be represented there. They had to ask for permission to be represented there because they were still in the Republic. All these documents are here for you to read. I mean, we've been so deceived. They should have taught you this in school. I mean, the national debt is based on an amendment that was never ratified. Ain't that something? The IRS is just a branch of the private Federal Reserve Bank. Another corporation they put over a corporation. That's how they take jurisdiction. You guys complain about all these fruits of the poison tree. This 14th Amendment is the poison tree, such as taxes. That all comes from this jurisdiction. Gun laws, jurisdiction, ATF, all of them jurisdictions come from this 14th Amendment. Everything above and beyond the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the basic form of government that we're supposed to have compared to where we are now comes from the jurisdiction of this amendment. You'll beat yourself to death trying to fight each and every one of these little poison fruits independently. If you just get rid of this 14th Amendment and the jurisdiction thereof, they're gone. It would take all of the rest of it with it. We're back to what our Founding Fathers created. The government, so many people claim they want, and they just don't know how to get there. We're here, and then we think we should be over here. People claim they got a right to own guns. Well, guess what? That's another deception. Because as a citizen of the United States, you're not really a citizen of the Constitution the Founding Fathers created. You're a citizen of this different form of government. See, they've deceived us this whole time. It's under color of law. That's why they come back to you as privileges. They start governing back your rights to you as privileges. And you don't understand how when you think they're an inherent right. It's simple. You have to be that citizen to declare that right. If you're the citizen that's in the Constitution, then yes, you would have them rights. If I'm a citizen of Canada, I imagine I would have the rights and privileges and whatever that citizenship would allow, and the restrictions as well. Well, I mean, how can you claim to the rights of the perfect document if you're not even a citizen thereof? Look at Article 4, Section 2, Clause 1 of the U.S. Constitution. The citizens of every state shall be entitled to the same privileges and immunities as the citizens of the several states.